I think the trick is figuring out how do we structure government systems that pool resources and hence facilitate some redistribution, because I actually believe in redistribution, at least at a certain level, to make sure that everybody's got a shot.
Then Illinois State Senator Barack Obama talking back in 1998 about the redistribution of wealth. He sounds a lot like the President Obama of 2012, doesn't he? But those were comments that some in the mainstream liberal media complained were taken out of context. Well, they're being quite silly and quite partisan. And in great reporting by the Daily Caller, they obtained the complete remarks of then State Senator Obama. It was about almost 1 3/4 hours. I listened to the entire thing, including the sort of fellow travelers of the president at the time. Here is one particular revealing excerpt by Mr. Obama.
To the extent that we are doing research figuring out what kinds of government action would successfully make their lives better, we are then putting together a potential majority coalition to move those agendas forward.
Majority coalition. That's what it was all about back then. And to bring that to be, that majority coalition, it would include churches and labor unions and community organizers that Obama wanted to empower and coordinate and combine. But let's put in context the Obama comments and that of other left-wingers on that Loyola Urban Center tape. As I listened to them, I mean, there was some very sophisticated but abstract talk about the economy and about making lives better. It wasn't as if Democrats on the left were powerless back in October of 1998. These folks were left-wing because they liked being out there on that left wing. That was my impression. Remember this, in October of 1998, Bill Clinton was president of the United States. He was a Democrat. And Democrat Richard M. Daley was still the mayor of Chicago. Things were really good for Democrats in 1998, and actually really good for the entire country. The national unemployment rate, I mean, it's hard to imagine, back then was 4.5%. 4.5% unemployment. I mean, doesn't that look good? In the city of Chicago, it was even better, 4.3%. As these folks are having discussions about how they're going to help the poor, how they're going to create a coalition of working poor and those on welfare. Extraordinary. It seems as, and by the way, did you know in that entire tape that there wasn't one reference to welfare reform or the fact that welfare rolls were falling at a dramatic and unprecedented rate in the United States because of President Clinton and the Republican Party's cooperation in creating welfare reform? I don't know why they wouldn't take note of that. And the economy, good grief, it was rolling. GDP back then, oh, those were the days. 4.4% in 1998. 7.1%. Just think of this. 7.1% in the fourth quarter as they were meeting in 1998. Wow. The statists building that fancy coalition. They were, I don't think convincingly they could say, hardly oppressed by the economy or the political system, which in fact they controlled through their party. An economy that, as you can see, was robust and prosperous and telescope forward. Now, Obama's at least 14-year-old philosophy is now President Obama's policy. The coalition of dependency and working poor has grown hugely in less than 4 years. But look at these numbers, if you will, to give you a sense of how that coalition idea is working. 46.4 million Americans are on food stamps. Food stamps. That's an increase of 44% since the president took office. Nearly 11 million Americans, 11 million, are on disability. That's, by the way, 5.5 million have been added since President Obama took office. It has doubled. Meanwhile, just about 56 million people are enrolled in Medicaid as of 2011. I mean, that's up from 50.8. So, I mean, the numbers just get huge. And Obamacare alone will expand Medicaid to an additional 19.6 million Americans, increasing Medicaid spending by another 18% over the next 2 years, and more than doubling it in the next 10 years. And there are 23 million Americans who are unemployed. And I know a lot of people don't like to take note of this, but it's kind of important. These are our fellow citizens we're talking about, or they've given up looking for work altogether. So we're talking about another 50, we're just rounded off to another 50 million. And you're talking about close to 100 million Americans, and there is admittedly some duplication, but 100 million. What President Obama saw as a potential majority coalition 14 years ago has moved quickly toward reality, thanks in no small measure to his own policies that have encouraged greater dependency and growth in a coalition of working poor, those who are fortunate to have enough to have a job, but that coalition of working poor and those on welfare could swamp America, and perhaps as early as November 6th, unless we are indeed diligent.